Welcome to the Vermilion Podcast, a free audio library of business strategies, creative inspiration, and industry knowledge for actors, filmmakers, writers, and anyone looking to activate their creative potential. I'm Misha Calvert, a writer-director who helps artists build the careers that they dream of. I really hope that this podcast inspires you in some way. Thanks for tuning in.
My guest tonight is an incredible friend. Friend is the first category that I'm going to put you in.
Nah.
And that's maybe the thing I'm most proud of. But Shannon Gisela, you're also an actor and you're an improver and you're a writer and you're, well, may I say very quickly becoming a celebrity.
Oh.
Just call it like I see it. Yeah, I was thrilled when you wanted to chat on the show, and
of course,
we love go-getters. We love self-responsibility. We love women who are just absolutely crushing in their careers. Just for context, everyone, Shannon is the star of a show coming out called M.I.A. When you listen to this, it's probably either about to come out or it's already come out. And from what I know, Shannon is extremely good in this show, and it's just like this amazing showcase of your talents and your energy and everything. So I think I'm most curious about what you did, both externally and internally, to lead to that kind of life-changing moment when you got the show.
It's great because you were also part of that process and that evolution for me. I mean, yes, this is very special to get to be talking to you about it and to open up about it. I mean, I struggled a lot and still do with like confidence and with who I am and what that means for opportunities that come my way and opportunities that I miss. And I think I had gotten kind of to a low point that it sparked a real need for change, not for any career reason, and more so just to like enjoy my life. So I think what really shifted for me was deciding that like my life was mine to enjoy and that it was my responsibility to enjoy it. And so it kind of in that liberty, it freed me up in so many other ways creatively too, of like, wait, I'm not supposed to wait until I get a job to have a good time on this planet. Like my creativity is mine to express and no one can take that from me. And I can enjoy every step of this process despite what I might get in return or might not get in return. And I think that mindset freed me up a lot in every regard because it trickled elsewhere too of like how I show up in my relationship and how I show up in my friendships and how I show up in all of these different kind of facets of life. I think that was the biggest change for me internally. And then it then led to an external change of how I was able to actually even accept opportunities because I stopped feeling like I wasn't deserving of them and I started just deciding like my time will come and when it is it'll be something that I'm going to meet halfway with just who I am and that I don't have to be anything else other than who I am to get it. So I hope that answers your question. I think that was the biggest kind of paradigm shift for me so far.
Yeah, there's so many, I would say, micro shifts in that macro shift, and just the heavy lifting that you did mentally, emotionally, spiritually to be able to understand the task before you, and then take the self-responsibility to do that work on yourself. It's really, really awesome to hear. You said one thing about meeting the universe halfway or meeting an opportunity halfway. I love that because it's like I myself don't need to do all the lifting on this. The opportunity is going to do part of the lift and carry me. And it's like, it feels like coming into a relationship, like a romantic relationship, where suddenly you realize, wait, I also bring something to the table.
Yeah.
And I need to expect that other person to bring something to the table.
So
it's not a 90-10 in either direction.
No, I mean, it's so funny. I feel like as I get older, you know how your parents have like maybe corny phrases or they're like, okay, everything happens for a reason or whatever that is. And then I find myself now saying phrases like that. And one of the ones that to get more specific, that I remember hearing even with acting was like, casting is like you're the solution to their problem. And I was like, yeah, 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 like okay. But really that's the truth. That's
Yeah.
the truth. And that is, one's essence, one's creativity, one's expression is filling a hole that a project needs if we're talking about actors. If you're a writer, it's like your specific viewpoint on the world is missing something, like there's something missing that you are filling with just being who you are. And so I think that meeting it, that's what meeting it halfway is just like really accepting what you bring to the table and that it is enough and that it is it's like filling a piece of the puzzle that has been missing. And that it's a valuable piece of the puzzle, even though the rest of the puzzle might be so big and have a lot of other pieces that feel bigger than you or whatever. But it's like, no, that you needed to plug that specific piece for it to feel complete.
So when you were auditioning for MIA, how did it become clear to you that you were solving their problem, and how did you solve their problem?
Hmm. Um,
Whatever you're at liberty to speak about.
yeah, I mean, I don't know how much I'm able to share about the specific process, but like I think for me it started with the self-tape. And like I think it's really great in that I don't know. We could argue both ways on like how valuable it is to be in the room versus how valuable it is to do a self-tape. But like for me, the glass I do my best to see as the glass always half full. And so when it came to that self-tape, it was in that mind of like, okay, I have so many choices I get to make. I get to set up the lights this way. I get to, be dynamic in the space a certain way. I get to speak a certain, like, there's so many tiny little choices that I took agency in that I don't think I had before.
Mm.
And I think before I was kind of maybe framing it of like, what do I think that they want? Or like, what do I think I'm supposed to do? And that was one of the first tapes that I had that where I really was like, what I'm gonna do is either gonna be right or it's gonna be wrong. And it's not and it's even saying right or wrong is not even the right way to put it. It's like it's either gonna be right for this or it's not for this. And um so I removed the stakes and so in that it was in the self-tape where I just felt like, my partner was helping me and he was directing me and we were kind of having this like real collaborative, creative experience. And it was like born out of that kind of nucleus that all the other stuff started happening. And I think that people really respond um, to making bold choices
Mhm.
and to owning something. And it, even if it's kind of a big swing, it's like it's your swing. And um, I think that the powers that be really respond to people who are energetically in that place. I think it's magnetic, whether it's creative or whether it's just in life. I think that opportunities are attracted to um, people and moments when they're being authentic and just being them and like owning that and that's kind of sexy.
Mhm.
Um, so I think that it was born out of the self tape and then being in the room and then also being yourself in the room and like going from there and again all that entire time being like I am who I am and like I cannot try to fit some mold or like shape shift into something that I'm not because I think that that's what they want. Like I can't, like that's just not mentally healthy for me. And so I just approached it like as authentically as I could, and I was like trusting that it's enough. And it sounds hokey, and it sounds um, yeah, just kind of like maybe not total, a little abstract, I guess. But yeah, I am so much more of a believer in that now that I'm so lucky to have lived an experience that like proved it. So I hope to get to do more of that.
Yeah, yeah. You and I have spoken for many hours about confidence and about authenticity in the
Mhm.
past. And I'm wondering, I mean, I know that you've been working on your inner world and your inner relationship to self for years. It's no surprise to me that you were able to land an opportunity like this. I'm wondering, on that years long journey,
Mhm.
what are some things that you've done that maybe if you somebody listening to this might be like feeling kind of low
Mm,
and they listen to something that you tried and they try it themselves and it might pick them up out of a low spot.
mhm, mm. What were some of the things I started doing? I think the biggest thing was I started challenging my thoughts, because my mind was a place that I felt myself kind of wither in,
Mm,
and I started just being like a 2-year-old and asking why. And, 2-year-olds are like, the sky is blue, why? And when you have an answer, then they're like, okay, but why? And then, so I would be mean to myself, and then I'd be like, why am I being mean to myself? Why do I think this? And then I'd go further and I'd have an answer, and then I'd be like, but why? Why that then? And then I'd get to the root, and it would be because I was afraid, and because I have conditioned myself to believe a certain thing about myself, or several different things about myself. And I just started getting really curious about it. And it wasn't from a place of judgment, it wasn't from a place of shame. It was just a place of accepting that that was where I was at, and getting really curious about how I got there, and kind of like letting the little monster inside the car, and but I'm driving now, and you're coming on in, you have something to say, clearly. But I have the GPS, and have the wheel, and we're gonna go where I want to go, and you're gonna come along for the ride. And so I think for me it was about getting really, really curious, and being really patient. And I think the thing that makes the monster a little louder is the idea that we're maybe missing out, or like don't have time. But it's like gotta throw that out, because that's not something I can control. I can't control when things come my way. I can't control when it happens. I can't control any of that stuff. And so getting really patient about where I am in this moment, and accepting this is where I am in this moment, and this is the moment I'm going to be in until the next moment, and then until the next one after that. Removing just like the expectation that I needed to get out of that place, made it so that it was more of a playground for me to explore, versus like this like shitty thing. Sorry if I can't curse.
you can
To like,
curse.
okay, great. Yeah, if it was like this shitty sludge that I like need to get out of, it's like, no, I'm gonna get out of it. But like for now, I'm gonna kind of play with it and see what's going on, and be like, wow, how did I get here? Um, yeah, that was a really big, big thing for me.
Curiosity, so great. Because that also removes judgment and shame automatically. It's
Mm-hmm.
hard to be judgmental and curious at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
or curious and curiosity and condemnation. It's hard for those to coexist.
I agree.
Um, so now that you have shot the full season one as the lead of the show,
Which is nuts.
I want to ask about what are some of the amazing things that have happened or are happening, and what is it like? Is it weird?
Mm. Amazing things that have happened is that I get to say that I'm a full-time creative as of right now, and that's
Wow.
that's amazing, and I'm a full-time artist. Like that's what? And there have been things like changes in different relationships, and like I've also feel like I've grown so much, like leadership, and grown in agency, um and it's like kind of having conversations that I didn't expect to have, like about, I don't know, like publicists, and like what PR looks like, and what about a stylist, or like who do you want to be publicly, and like those are questions that I'm now asking myself. And at the end of the day, it's like I just want to be who I am, like that's it. But having even just like the space to even think about something like that is kind of amazing to me. And so honestly, everything that's happened since then has been amazing. But I guess if I were to get specific, I'm trying to think. I don't know, my life is kind of unrecognizable. And it's also the same too. Like I have my apartment, I have my blankie, I have my snacks that I enjoy. Like there's so much that's also the same, and I find comfort in that too. But
And your
um
partner, my friend?
absolutely, and my partner, and we still goof around and like just kind of make each other giggle, and like none of that's like the fundamentals of my life haven't changed. My priorities haven't changed in terms of like what I want out of life. But like how it looks on a day to day has changed. I get to just have more creative conversations now. Um, more so than I'm doing admin work like I was before. Um, so
Yeah, maybe less job seeking.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, less job seeking, at least in I'm knocking on wood.
This
Um,
phase of things.
yeah, this phase of things is less seeking, more kind of just like sitting and welcoming and being patient and like in a place of like I don't know, I feel like I'm incubating a little bit. Um yeah. And then there was a second part to your question. What was it? You said changes
Are
and
any
then
of the new things weird? So, like, I imagine you got
uh
new representation. Is that weird? New, like, red carpet stuff. Is that weird?
mm-hmm. Red carpet stuff. I went to one event and it was I don't know, I think anytime I'm in a new environment, I get very like like what's going on and so that event was a lot of that. I felt like a new kid at school, like didn't know where to sit kind of thing. Thank God it was like assigned seats and stuff, but yeah, it is weird. It is weird to be kind of like, oh, I'm amongst kind of my peers, like these are my peers, and we're all like creative in some way, and we all kind of love the same stuff, and like that's really cool. And so I think some of it was weird in that I couldn't believe that I was there, and yeah, weird in that the imposter syndrome kicks in still, and like that's something that I would imagine it will continue to be. You hear people at all levels talk about how they're uppercutting imposter syndrome constantly, and no matter at what
Douche,
pace.
douche.
Yeah, fully just like bow. um but yeah, it is weird to, and it also can feel very like kind of self-aggrandizing at the same time too, of like what do I want to wear? Who do I like? All of this stuff to think about, and thinking about myself that much just does not feel. It feels like counterintuitive to
Mm.
like the creative process, I guess. But it's part of it, and I'm free reframing it and getting really excited about it, and yeah, so it is, but it is weird to be like talking about yourself and thinking about like how you present and like how you want to present and like all of that kind of stuff. That stuff is weird.
So, you're still auditioning, is that correct?
For sure.
How have your auditions changed, or how has your approach to auditioning changed since this, number one on the call sheet experience?
Mm. I think I'm leaning into that mindset more of like doing what I want and being okay with like my flavor of stuff. I'm definitely leaning into that a lot more. Um, but I do have like a strong sense of perfectionism, and I'm very hard on myself. And I would imagine, most creatives are, because it is so kind of like subjective
Mm.
that there's no rules really, and so it can be really hard to be like I have to get this right. And so I definitely struggle even now with being okay with something just being a taste of what I would want it to be, and it not having to be, it's like absolutely from start to finish perfect in my eyes. I'm constantly reaching for just that feeling, free from any expectation, but just the feeling of like, oh, I've expressed myself. Um, and I enjoy what I just did, and I enjoyed the process, and I felt challenged, and like I'm always leaning into challenge. Like I think my mission in this life is to like just grow and be the best version of myself that I can, and affect and leave an impact on other people by virtue of being who I am. And doing art, really good art, and so with that is the passion for like where can I grow? Where am I falling short? Where can I like challenge myself and get better and in every way? But yeah, so I think I'm constantly seeking like how to just challenge myself a little bit more now when it comes to my tapes.
That is such a healthy approach
Mm,
and hopefully inspiring to everyone that is listening to this, that it's like if you are not interested in challenge and in facing hard things with courage and energy, like
Mm,
what are we doing here? It's not like life isn't easy. Like, the thing is with people who before they've broken through, so to speak, and they're hoofing it with the auditions and, the job seeking and the emailing, it's like, yeah, it feels hard. It's not like it gets easier
right,
when you
right.
break through. Some
hmm
things get easier, but I imagine you have like a lot of decisions, like big decisions and big responsibilities the further up you go.
hmm Yeah, that's true. I mean, I would imagine, I'm at the very kind of beginning of all of this, and I personally, like, I don't do well when the stakes feel really high, and I have to like remove all of that stuff and be like, okay,
Mm,
what's the core of this? What is the
yeah,
core of what I'm trying to do?
yeah,
And for me, because I'm a collector of information, and
yeah,
I can like, again, it's that perfectionist thing of like, I can only make a decision when I have every single bit of information that I can
yeah.
gather. And that's the mindset that I get into when I feel the stakes are high.
Mm,
Versus when I like neutralize them, I can really lean into like, how does this feel? Like, where does this feel in my body? Am I excited by this?
yeah.
Does it feel like in alignment with who I am?
Mm,
Is it, like, then I can make kind of like more personal decisions, I guess,
yeah.
where it feels right with me. But yeah, the stakes, it can be very easy to be like, oh, this is a
Yeah.
big deal.
Yeah. Speaking of stakes, it's very high stakes to follow Shannon on social media. So could you please drop your handles? Where do we find you on social?
You can find me at its_Shanny G. Hello, yep, that's my username. Nobody's ever called me that. And then where else could you find me? Pretty much just Instagram. Yeah.
And your animated series? What is that called?
Yeah. Oh my God. That one is called Strip Law. I'm so
Strip
excited.
Law.
Strip Law,
Okay.
and it's on Netflix on February 20th. I play Irene Gum, who is a 16-year-old bodybuilder who is also a private investigator.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really awesome. It's a show about a lawyer who works on the Vegas Strip, and he like befriends a street magician, and they go on these like wacky, zany adventures together. And yeah, an absolute blast working on that. That was like I can't even believe that happened. But
So
yeah.
everyone watch Strip Law on Netflix, starring Shannon Gisela.
Woo!
And be sure and check out M.I.A. on Peacock. I am so happy for you and thrilled for
Thank you.
you and happy to know you.
Ah, the feeling is so mutual, Misha. Thank you. I'm so grateful to know you, and so grateful that I have I've been so inspired by you in so many ways, and you in having conversations with you, I definitely feel like I have grown as a person, and yeah, and you've kind of catalyzed a lot of that thinking and those changes for me. So thanks for being part of my journey too.
My utter joy and honor. And I'm gonna let you get back to, I'm sure you have like a million things to do today. So short, sweet, powerful. I thank you for the call today, Shannon.
Of course, of course. Love ya. I'll
I
talk
love
to you
you
later.
too. Yeah, I'll talk to you soon. I'll call you soon.
Okay.
Bye,
Bye.
honey. Bye.
The Vermilion podcast is sponsored by Vermilion, a home for artists. We offer classes, coaching, and community for creatives and innovators in the arts. If you're ready to find your voice and build the life of your dreams, we're here to support you every step of the way. Check out clubvermilion.com and schedule a free call today.